Hi, my name is Katy, and my mom is a cannibal. I know it sounds crazy, and I wish I was making it all up. It would make my life a lot easier. Unfortunately, it's true. Mom actually eats other human beings and even admitted it to me a few weeks ago. I'm freaking out and don't know what to do about it. I should call the police and tell on her, but I'm scared to lose her and ruin my family. I have two small brothers who love my mom so much, and my dad doesn't suspect a thing. Can I really tear my family apart? My mom has always been a bit weird. She's a nice woman and she's been a really good mother, but she's not exactly a normal person. Dad thinks her quirks are adorable, and I was too used to them to notice until I started high school. That was when my classmates began making remarks about my mom, how their parents talked about her and her fascination with certain subjects, and how intense she could seem when she was around them. My mom has always been fascinated with stories about cannibalism and murder. She watched documentaries online about it all the time, and you would be so freaked out if you saw her Netflix account. She also reads books about the subject. When I was growing up, she told me so many stories about these creepy cults in South America that ate human beings. She explained that once a year, they had these rituals in which they cooked the corpse of someone who had died recently. From time to time, though, if someone had betrayed or harmed a member of the cult, they would instead murder this person and eat them instead. They believed that this was the right thing to do, as it allowed the traitor to atone for their sins. It was a purification ritual for all involved, but a person died because of it. I was so scared whenever she told me about these stories. I would gasp and hide beneath my blankets as a little girl, but love being scared at the same time, so I listened to all the tales she had for me. When I asked her how did she know about these rituals, she told me she had read it in several of her books. Of course, I believed her. She's my mom. I didn't believe she had any reason to lie to me. There is something else creepy about my mom. Not only does she have a fascination with death, she actually makes a living because of it. She owns her own funeral home. Mom is in charge of running the whole place, but she also works putting makeup and preparing the corpses to be shown in funerals. There is a crematorium in the back of her funeral home, so they offer the whole service. My mother's business is really successful, so she has lots of clients constantly knocking on her door. That alone is not that creepy. After all, it's a perfectly decent job, and someone has to do it. But when you add up her fascination and obsession with death and cannibalism, it gets really weird. There's one last piece of creepiness that ties all of the rest of it together. Once a year, my mom travels to South America all alone. She never takes my dad, me, or my siblings with her. I'm not even sure what country in particular she visits. Dad said it was Colombia, but my mom has always been really sketchy about the subject. Supposedly, Mom has good friends over there, and she goes to visit them yearly, but honestly, I'm not sure any longer. My friend's remarks about my mom sparked my doubts, and once I began thinking about it, I couldn't stop. I suspected that my mom visited Colombia or any other South American country to participate in the cult's ritual. So I began searching through the house, and in an old box hidden in my mom's personal closet, I made a super creepy discovery. There were pictures of my mom standing next to people dressed in strange black tunics. She was dressed in one herself, and right there, next to the pictures, was the dark tunic, neatly folded up. One night, I couldn't help myself any longer, and I asked my mom if she had ever actually eaten human meat. There was this really weird look on her face when she turned around to face me, and she asked me why I would think she did. I told her that she was always speaking about cannibalism and about the creepy South American cult, and I wanted to know if my suspicions were true. My mom actually admitted it was true. She had indeed eaten human flesh, but I couldn't get her to admit if she participated in any rituals or if she ate the meat in other circumstances. I told her it was wrong to eat humans, but she simply shrugged it off as if it wasn't a big deal. Mom explained that meat was meat, and there was no difference between a pig, a cow, or a human being once they were dead. I asked if she had ever eaten parts of the bodies she prepared for the funeral. Mom looked at me with this creepy smile and stayed silent for a second or two. Then she denied it, telling me she would never do that to a customer's body. I didn't believe her at all. The smile she had given me was clearly her way of telling me the truth without admitting to any crimes. I really don't know what to do now. Mom's annual trip to South America is coming up, and I'm worried she'll help kill someone there. Sure, the cult might use a random corpse, but what if this year they want to help someone atone for their sins? Perhaps I'm blowing this out of proportion and my mom really does just visit friends in South America. What if I break up my family for nothing? What if people stop taking their dead relatives to my mom's funeral home and we go bankrupt? I'm scared and I don't know what to do. I don't want to get mom in trouble, but I don't want anyone to get hurt either. What would you do? I really need some help deciding. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on the channel.
Hi, my name is Jason, and this is the story of how I went from broke to rich. It doesn't begin as a happy story, but thanks to my parents' efforts and a few wise investments, I was able to turn my life around. When I was growing up, I'd get online and see all these people living wonderful lives I couldn't afford. They'd live in wonderful mansions, travel all around the globe, buy expensive clothes, and own all kinds of pets. I wanted so badly to be like them, not see my parents worrying over the little money they made monthly. They worked so hard to provide for me, and I'm so grateful for all their effort and love. I promised myself I'd one day be rich and I'll buy a big, nice house for my mom and dad to live in. I was too young to get a job, and mom didn't allow me to apply for half-time gigs since she was worried I'd stop paying attention to my studies. She wanted me to graduate and make something out of myself. Then one day, tragedy struck. I arrived home from school to find my mom sitting in the living room, sobbing her eyes out. It was heartbreaking to see her that way. She hugged me tightly and after a while, managed to tell me what had happened. My dad had been in a car accident, and he had died before even reaching the hospital. I couldn't believe it. Now mom and I were alone, and the man who raised me and I looked up to was gone. The next few weeks were awful. I could barely get out of bed at first, but little by little I started accepting Dad's death. It was a struggle, but I went back to school and continued studying. My mom came home from work one night and she called me downstairs. She had news for me. Apparently, Dad had a secret saving account he had been keeping for years, saving up for our future. My mom decided I would be getting $10,000 out of it, as it was his inheritance and she wanted me to try and fulfill my dreams of investing my own money. She reminded me to be careful about it, but that it was time for me to live my life. Losing Dad had reminded her how short our lives could be. I took this responsibility seriously, and though I was heartbroken about my dad's death, I was happy at least I'd get to finally start making money for myself. So I began researching what I should invest my newfound money on, and heard about a brand new toy called the fidget spinner. I knew instantly it was going to be a big success. I've always followed my gut feelings, and I was wise enough to listen to it as well that time. I bought as many as I could afford, and only a few weeks later, it became this massive trend. I began selling them for 10 times what I had gotten them for and made a great profit out of them. It wasn't enough though, and so I continued with my research. A friend of mine introduced me to something I had barely heard of till then, Bitcoins. After finding out more about this cryptocurrency, I decided I needed to invest in it as well. When I got the Bitcoins, about 20 or so of them, they cost about $1,000 each, and I hesitated for a moment before buying them. My instinct, though, told me it was the right move, and it wasn't wrong. A few months later, the Bitcoin's price had skyrocketed, reaching over $15,000 each. I decided it was the right time to sell, and made over $200,000 profit from my new investment. Now I had to begin thinking bigger. It was time to really take a leap of faith and trust my gut for real. I wasn't dealing with a few $1,000s any longer. So I decided to buy a rundown house. It was the scariest decision of my life. The house was an absolute mess, and there were times I was sure I'd have to have it demolished. I hired a few great handymen who worked hard to turn the abandoned-looking home into an actual dream house. I ended up putting $50,000 into repairing it, even adding flowers to the backyard, making it look beautiful. By the time the repairs were finished, I couldn't believe how different it was from the place I walked in almost 6 months before. It didn't take me long at all till I managed to sell it for over $400,000. I decided to take the profits I made from the previous investment and repeat this project 2 more times, with a couple of new rundown houses in the same neighborhood. I got a huge profit each time. By then, I had already turned 21 and was making a decent living, but I wanted more. This time around, I consulted with real estate professionals and managed to buy an apartment complex for over $1 million. That might sound like a lot of money, but it was a bargain considering its size. I had to spend almost all of my earnings on repairing the building, making it look presentable, but it was worth the effort. The apartment complex is fully occupied now, and I make over $20,000 a month from rental income alone. There's only one apartment that doesn't pay for rent, my mom. I finally managed to get her a nice home to live in for free, and I get to visit her often. Thanks for all for watching. Please leave in the comments what your big dream in life is, and don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on the channel.